Have you ever heard a take like this? I miss when Dragon Ball was about martial arts. Or maybe, now all they do is fly around and shoot ki blasts. Or maybe even, the fights used to be hand to hand, but now all you need to do is power up to win. Stuff like this gets said about every series, Naruto included, but Dragon Ball doesn't really get a lot of defense on this front. Even though these takes are partially valid, there are some fundamental issues with them that need explaining. So today we're going to be analyzing Dragon Ball's power system from two angles, form and function. If you look through the manga, you'll see that Dragon Ball's definition of martial arts was always extremely hazy. On top of that, this is a story about adventure, and what fans describe as martial arts is really only one aspect of this world's power system. With that being said, what's the word? Malachi here. I talk about manga. Man, we made it to 100 subscribers in no time at all. Thank you so much to everyone who supported the channel so far. If you enjoy Dragon Ball, Naruto, Boruto, or really any other manga, think about subscribing. My goal with the Dragon Ball content on this channel is to shed some light on some of the more unappreciated parts of the series and highlight Toriyama's genius. That aside, let's get into the topic. We're starting with this question. What does martial arts mean in Dragon Ball? Chapter 1 of the manga tells us a whole bunch, but the most important thing for our purposes today is that Goku was trained by his grandfather. So what were the fruits of Son Gohan's teachings? Well, Goku is really strong. He can chop wood by punching the logs into pieces, beat up all the animals in the area, and he's also got an exercise routine that we'll touch on later. The training wasn't all physical though. Goku was polite to women and bows before matches because of what Gohan taught him. This is the foundation for Dragon Ball's take on martial arts. So what do we really see here? Primarily, a martial artist strengthens their body through exercise, but there's an underlying moral obligation here to respect your opponent and be kind to women. That's a pretty limited definition, but luckily Roshi, Gohan's master, takes over from here. Because we've been learning about martial arts from the perspective of the Turtle School this whole time, Goku and Krillin's training under Roshi really isn't anything new to us fundamentally. They trained their bodies, which was kinda exactly what Goku was doing on his own. Despite the familiarity of this type of training though, Roshi does give us some important insights here and there. To become a perfected martial arts master, you have to do a few things. Overcome the limits of humanity, train your mind, eat well, and rest well on top of that. On top of this though, the moral aspect of martial arts gets expanded during this part of the story. Roshi tells Goku and Krillin that if you or another is threatened by someone evil, you must strike them down in a single blow. So as Goku and Krillin learn the basics of Roshi's style, we're learning the basics of martial arts in this world. Now that we've got our foundation, don't you feel like the definition of martial arts is a little vague? Strengthen your body and mind so that you can enjoy life and destroy evil if you see it? Seems kind of plain, right? Well, a nebulous definition like this actually serves the purpose of this story perfectly, because Dragon Ball isn't a martial arts story, it's an adventure story. Goku can strengthen his body and strike down evil while looking for the Dragon Balls, or while he's participating in a tournament, or while he's on a spaceship headed to another planet, or while he's preparing to fight androids, or while he's literally dead. It's that vagueness that allows Dragon Ball to change every arc while still holding on to its main themes. With this in mind, doesn't anyone who's saying that they missed when the story was about martial arts seem a little bit off the mark? So what about the rest of the critiques that we talked about at the beginning of the video? From what we've seen today, it looks like some fans are tired of repetitive abilities and fight scenes. If you watched some of the anime 15 years ago and left it there, you might be inclined to agree. Doesn't Dragon Ball have a reputation for characters zipping around really fast and shooting ki blasts? Well, yeah, but I don't think that fan opinion is accurate at all. Let me explain by taking you through Dragon Ball's power system. There are three branches: martial arts, technology, and magic. You might be asking, are technology and magic really as relevant as martial arts in Dragon Ball? Well, let's look at some examples that I might change your mind. In early Dragon Ball, Goku's first adventure is finding the Dragon Balls with Bulma. Here we get our dose of martial arts through Roshi's Kamehameha, which Goku steals on the spot. Because Roshi promises Goku that he'll train him later, we know that there will be more to come in the future, but that's pretty much all we get early on in the martial arts category. In this part of the story, technology and magic are actually more prominent than martial arts. Goku's fighting off creatures like Oolong and Puar, who both share the ability to transform. They actually both went to the same transformation preschool. On top of this, the entire goal of this adventure is magical in nature. Bulma wants to use the mysterious Dragon Balls instead of orbs that can grant any wish. Even Goku himself seems magical at points, transforming into a giant ape near the climax of the arc. We'll talk about how alien abilities and transformations fit under the magic umbrella later, but for now, just note that the Dragon Balls themselves get revealed to be alien in nature right along with Goku and Dragon Ball Z. To round off the trio though, technology might be the most important factor here, at least for Bulma. Her capsules, vehicles, and weapons are the MVP when it comes to keeping her comfortable, relatively safe, and relevant in the adventure. Even the Peel-Off gang wouldn't be relevant as villains without their steel cage, trap, and sleeping gas. Let's keep going. During the first tournament, Roshi greatly expands the scope of martial arts. He's looking into Namu's heart, using the afterimage technique, shocking Goku with a ki beam, and even destroying the moon with a Kamehameha. Note that even the referee is questioning if these abilities are within the scope of martial arts, especially the more gag-related moves like the Drunken Fist and the Good Boy Sleep Fist. Sounds like fights are starting to become people going super fast and teleporting to me, and this is literally the second arc. Technology and magic refuse to be left behind though. The Red Ribbon Army's robots and androids make their debut in the next few chapters with Sergeant Metallic and Android number 8. General White even has a super gun that he tries to kill Goku with. On the magical end of things, we got the introduction of General Blue's paralyzing vision and telekinesis, plus Senzu beans and fortune teller Baba. Are you starting to see how these three branches interact with each other? As Goku's improving as a martial artist, we learn just as much about the capabilities of magic and technology. It gets even crazier from there though. To prepare for the second tournament, Goku's been running across the entire world for his training, and now it's him and his peers pushing martial arts forward instead of Roshi. The Crate School is also showing us all kinds of ki attacks, the Dodon Ray, the Solar Flare, and the Kikoho. They've also got their fair share of magical abilities. Chaozu can paralyze like General Blue, manipulate the tournament bracket with a finger, and use telepathy. Tien even straight up manifests 2 extra arms. At the end of the tournament, we dive straight into the Piccolo Daimyo arc, which comes with a litany of magic stuff. We got Piccolo himself, who can create minions and happens to be looking for the very magical Dragon Balls. He even kills Shenron, which we didn't even know was possible. Karin's Ultra Divine Water ends up giving Goku the strength to fight with a young Piccolo, and martial arts even gets some representation with the Mafuba. I think that this part of the story has such a mystical feeling to it because of the great synergy that magic and martial arts have. The only downside is technology taking a backseat, but we'll be getting plenty of that in Z. Just in case you wanted your fix of technology now though, Tao Pai Pai does come back as an android in the third tournament. Magically, we also get a few things here though, specifically Tien's 4-body technique and Piccolo's gigantification. At this point, Goku is learning how to fly, he's wearing weighted clothing, and shooting a whole bunch of really big ki attacks like the Super Kamehameha. If the precedent of these 3 branches was set from the beginning of the story, how do they reflect on the critiques we talked about at the start of the video? Well, people have basically been zipping around faster than the eye can see since the first tournament. Yeah, Ki Blast and flying are starting to slowly become more prominent, but they were pretty much always a part of the power system. Aside from those 2 things though, the most important thing to take away from this is that there's more to Dragon Ball than just martial arts. Now let's take a look at how the power system develops in Z. The 2 most important reveals in the Saiyan saga are that Goku and Piccolo are both aliens. So let's talk about alien abilities fitting under the magic umbrella. In Dragon Ball, the easiest way to tell the difference between magic and technology is to think about what's comprehensible and what's not. Even if something happens on panel that we can't do in real life, the line between technology and magic is familiarity. Take capsules for example. Bulma can pop one and instantly have a car, or a plane, or a trailer. Obviously we don't have any technology like this in real life yet, but it seems familiar, right? Can't you imagine a future where we can make things like this? It feels like Toriyama took an idea that could be plausible and drew it into existence. Now let's think about Puar and Oolong. They can transform into objects, people, other animals, just about anything really. Does this seem like something we'd be able to do in real life? I don't really think so, just like I don't think we'd be able to make wish-granting orbs or spit out eggs on command. You've probably heard that magic is just technology that we don't understand yet, and that's true to an extent, but Dragon Ball's magic is mystical, incomprehensible, and occasionally alien. For these reasons, I've decided to group the alien's ability into the magic category. Aside from those 2 reveals though, we also see Piccolo grow back a limb for the first time, plus some speculations on the power of a human Saiyan hybrid, which is the first mention of a Super Saiyan that we get in the story. We also get Gohan's early anger boost during this arc, the first clothes beam from Piccolo, an explanation of the Saiyan's innate ability to fight, King Kai's clothes beam, Kami's teleportation, and the Cybermen. New technology comes right along with the magic this arc, so let's talk about scouters and power levels first. In early Dragon Ball, we had to use the characters themselves for scaling, like Master Roshi being the strongest in the first tournament but being surpassed by Goku and Tien in the second one. However, with scouters we get an objective measure of each character's standing, plus an implication that our protagonists are pretty weak in the context of the universe. The Saiyans also come in literal spaceships, so Toriyama can change the feeling of the story by focusing on two branches of the power system, and this time, the magic and technology combination throws us into the midst of a sci-fi story. Martial arts won't be left behind though. This arc we got one of the earliest mentions of being scared of someone's power from a distance, plus the Earthlings being able to adjust their power levels is very relevant. Most importantly though, everybody has unique ki attacks now. Piccolo has his special beam cannon, Krillin has the Kienzan, Gohan picks up the Masenko, and Vegeta has his Gallic gun. Goku obviously takes the cake here though. When he arrives to the battlefield, he's got the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. 3 of these abilities need some special attention, so let's start with the Kienzan first. This is one of the first examples of a ki construct in the series, an attack shaped with a particular attribute or purpose. Krillin's much weaker than Nappa here, but he probably would have cut him in half with this move. The Kaioken's also pretty unique. It functions as a sort of stat buff for Goku, straight up multiplying all of his attributes, but it's got a drawback. It seems like Toriyama knew how busted this move was going to be. The Spirit Bomb probably has the most important ramifications for the story though, as this is the first example we see of ki being transferable from person to person. Goku can use the energy of every life form on a planet to form the attack, but we also see him give that energy to Krillin to use it later on. We're also getting extended power-up scenes now, so let's talk about it for a second. In the manga, there aren't any bad power-up panels. Some might be mid or neutral, but nothing's really bad, and some of them are straight up amazing and iconic, like Goku powering up against Nappa. The reason why that scene works is because we're excited to see Goku's improvement, and we're ready to see Nappa getting beaten up. So other scenes with the same power-up kind of thing going on, but without that emotion, might fall a little flat. I can't really speak for the anime, but I can definitely understand how overbloated filler might make these things worse. Auras are also starting to become more common. Nappa and Vegeta have yellow ones in the color manga, and Goku has a red one when he uses the Kaioken. On top of this, we get the most iconic large-scale beam clash during this arc, Goku's Kamehameha versus Vegeta's Gallic gun. One more small detail though, Goku has telepathy now, and he notes that he can't speak very loud yet. I think that this is consistent with Roshi reading minds in early Dragon Ball, so I'm going to put it here with the rest of the martial arts stuff. This arc has a definite step into what Dragon Ball is popular for, but it's still very based in that 3-part power system we've been talking about so far. Unique abilities, beautiful choreography, and a whole bunch of ki blasts. I personally don't see a problem so far. The Frieza saga turns the technology and magic chemistry up to 11. Within the first few chapters, we got the introduction of healing pods, the spaceship that Kami took to Earth, and Frieza's minions straight up had blaster guns. If the Saiyan saga was our introduction to sci-fi, we're undeniably in a story about technology and space travel now. Magic continues to be prominent as well. Goku's Saiyan heritage starts to come to the surface here, as we see him actively get excited to go to Namek and fight. On top of this, the Dragon Balls are the driving force behind the entire story, drawing everyone towards Namek. On the martial arts end of things, Krillin and Gohan are image training during their journey, and the ability to suppress their ki is extremely relevant for them and Vegeta, who learned how to do it on Earth. The Grand Elder is a magical figure on Namek. He unlocks Krillin and Gohan's potentials. On top of this, transformations take on a prominent role in this arc, first for Zarbon, but we'll wait to talk about that in detail until later. As Goku approaches Namek, he combines martial arts and magic, reliving one of the primal cycles of the Saiyans, facing and overcoming death. Meanwhile, Vegeta's doing the same thing on Namek, working his way through Frieza's minions. When Goku arrives, he internalizes the lessons of Kami and Karin, suppressing and releasing his power in an instant to take out some of the Ginyu Force, which is in line with his training in martial arts. Even Ginyu's utilizing his body switch to take control of fights, so there are a lot of alien abilities on display in this arc. Sounds pretty unique to me. While Goku's incapacitated, Krillin and Gohan take advantage of Frieza's technology, putting on some of the armor laying around. At the midpoint of the arc, they also summon Porunga, who revives Piccolo and brings him to Namek, increasing our protagonist's odds of victory against Frieza. After this, transformations fully take center stage, so let's take a second to talk about them. In this fight, 2 people transform, Frieza and Goku. I think that both transformations are done perfectly here. Frieza being so strong that he's created transformations to limit his power is a great touch, and Toriyama's villain designs are amazing, so this gives him the opportunity to add in 3 extra ones for Frieza. Super Saiyan's obviously the star of the show here though. It's the climax of 2 full arcs of build-up, Goku's acceptance of his Saiyan heritage and the most iconic transformation in manga history. There's nothing wrong here at all, and there really won't be until later on in the series, and even that depends on your opinion. Aside from transformations though, we also get Dende's magical healing ability, Gohan and Krillin transferring their ki to Piccolo, Piccolo using the Namekian fusion for the first time, which is also the first use of fusion on panel, and more Gohan rage boosts. After Namek, Toriyama shows us what can be done by focusing on technology in the Cell Saga. In fact, the technology displayed by the Red Ribbon Army in early Dragon Ball is reintroduced and pushed to its limit. At the opening of the arc, we got Mecha Frieza, literally the past villain from the previous arc augmented by machinery. On top of this, Trunks' time machine is introduced. On the magical ends of things, Goku returns to Earth with the ability to teleport, which he learned while he was in space. After the time skip, the relevance of the androids having no ki becomes prominent as we get introduced to number 19 and 20, along with their ability to absorb energy. 18 and 17 similarly don't have ki, but they were created from a human base, while 16 was made from nothing. On top of this, 17 and 18 have seemingly infinite energy, allowing them to outlast our protagonists. We've also got the second time machine that Cell wrote back in, plus Cell himself, who can absorb the life energy of others with his tail. With all this technology on the villain side, it can only be counterbalanced by the magic and martial arts internalized by our cast over the course of the story. Just like the Red Ribbon's technology from early Dragon Ball, Kami's Sanctuary ends up being our protagonist's salvation, especially the Room of Spirit and Time. Even Vegeta and Trunks failing to defeat Cell with Super Saiyan Grade 2 and 3 can be weighed against Goku's training methods that he learned from Roshi fundamentally, that of course get him and Gohan Super Saiyan Grade 4. These factors in combination with Gohan's biggest rage boost ever and Super Saiyan 2 are what end up resolving the conflict of the arc. Here, abilities are still feeling very unique, and even though the scale of fights has increased exponentially, things are still very based in martial arts, while also drawing from the other two branches of the power system to create a really good contrast. During the Buu Saga, Toriyama switches lanes. Now everything's about magic. Goku comes back to Earth for a day through magic. Two of the participants in the tournament have been brainwashed and buffed through magic, and they have a magic tool that ends up draining Gohan's energy. Speaking of Babidi, his magic is sinister and pervasive. His ship steals energy and gives it to Majin Buu through damaging people, and his mind control has gained him a wide range of servants. Dabra is probably Babidi's most prominent helper, and he's a big threat with his stone spit. Buu's probably the most magical creature by far though. He can regenerate endlessly, turn others into candy, manipulate his body into pretty much any shape. So how do the other two branches of the power system interact with magic here? Well, there's really not much technology in the arc, and martial arts actually takes a backseat here as well into the end. Instead, magic fights magic for the majority of the arc. Goku teaches the kids fusion, Gohan trains with an allegedly magical sword, and Buu fights with himself twice. After this, Gohan gets his potential unlocked by Elder Kaioshin, and Goku and Vegeta actually get fusion to try as well. So there's a lot of magic going around here. But how does this contrast with the end of the arc? Well, Vegeta ends up telling Goku to use a spirit bomb to beat Buu, and they use the Dragon Balls to restore Goku's energy so that he can finish it. So technology definitely takes a backseat during this arc, but that's fine after Cell and Frieza. Now that we're at the end of Z, hopefully you learned something new about the series. I think that the 3-part power system was incredibly influential to other series, and in the present day we see a whole bunch of manga take from this concept. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in a similar breakdown on Super's power system because it's definitely different, or any thoughts on the video in general. But other than that, have a good day.